Hi, this is Blake Davenport with the Davenport Group in Long and Foster, and today's real estate tip of the week, we're going to be talking about the earnest money deposit, or as we like to call it, the EMD. So first, what is an earnest money deposit? An earnest money deposit is basically a good faith deposit that a buyer makes when submitting an offer to the seller to basically prove to the seller how serious they are about going through the process of buying their home. What does this mean? How much do you have to make? What risks are involved? All very good questions. So how much does a typically earnest money deposit have to be in this area? It can be any amount. But to be taken seriously in this area, it has to be probably about a minimum of 1%. So for a $500,000 house, we're talking about $5,000. Typically, the amount of earnest money deposit usually ranges from like 1 to 5%. So $25,000 being 5% for a $500,000 house. What are the advantages, disadvantages of having a higher EMD deposit? The cons are that's more money that is exposed. It could be a potential risk to you. The money is protected, but there's always a chance that something could go astray near the end of the transaction, that money could be exposed. So that is one negative. But the big plus of putting more money down, it really shows to the seller how serious you are, and it shows how much financial strength that you have and your ability to, get financing for the deal and just get it done. The earnest money deposit is applied to your closing cost and your down payment. So if you're going to put, say, 10% down, 20% down your house, having a larger earnest money deposit, as long as you have the cash or the money available, is not a bad idea, because it does, again, show how serious you are and shows your financial strength. Upon making it with the offer, if the offer is accepted, then that earnest money deposit is deposited within an escrow account for 5 days, and that's basically the escrow is held, or the check is held in escrow and in a neutral account, and it will be dispersed to closing if we reach there, or if something comes up, then it's determined which way it should go, if it needs to go to the seller or go back to the buyer. Both parties have to sign off on it. When is it in danger, your earnest money deposit in danger? So there is contingencies set in place on the contract that basically protect that money. So you got your HOA or condo association. So if the property is in either one of those, the money is protected upon 3 days from receiving the condo or HOA docs. So that's really good. The home inspection contingency. So during the home inspection timeline, the money is protected. So if you were to walk away for any reason during that time, the money will be returned back to you. Then finally, the financing contingency is another common contingency in this area, where if you can't get financing in the amount of time that you specified in the contract, you can walk away and that money will come back to you. The seller does have to sign off and release the money back to you. So there could be certain situations where things just went astray and the seller got really pissed off, and they could wait, a couple months before releasing it. It doesn't happen very often, but people do this when they get frustrated and in spite. So the money is really protected. So that's why, I would urge probably on the higher end, probably around 3% typically for an earnest money deposit, but every situation differs. The norm in this area is 1%. So you putting a little bit more money than the next person does give you a slight advantage in a multiple offer situation. The only situation where that money is in danger is where all the contingencies are removed. And that, is most likely going to be the last few days of the contract and towards settlement. So your money is really protected the entire time, and we'll do everything in our best ability to keep it protected all the way through settlement. But those are just the last couple of days before closing is really where your money is exposed. And so that is, so if, say, you were going to settle on this property and the day before closing you're like, I don't want to buy this property anymore, that would be a situation. If all the other contingencies were removed, that would be a place where you could potentially have to lose and forfeit that earnest money deposit. So we talked about what an earnest money deposit is, how much you should use, and how the dangers and the pros and everything about that. So I hope you enjoyed this real estate tip of the week. Check back next week for another great real estate tip. Thanks again. Bye-bye.